Good morning, everybody. My name is Lee Brower, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. And don't you forget, in 26, we're going to nix, fix, and mix. We're going to nix the things that are getting in our way of achieving the very best we can become so that we can fixate, create the space to fixate on those things we value most and to mix with the people and the technology, etc., on the things that can accelerate our growth. Now, let me begin. I'm going to start with a problem. I don't usually like to start with a problem. However, if we can find a solution to that problem, or here's how we solve that problem, that's what I'm going to focus in on. But think about it. Our children today, and frankly, many adults, are increasingly making decisions based on impulse, peer pressure, and social media influence. Now, we are information rich, but we are wisdom poor. And when wisdom isn't transferred intentionally, it doesn't transfer at all. So, how do we solve for that? How do we solve for that? Recently, I had a great conversation with my friend and fellow coach, Chad Johnson, at Strategic Coach. He shared something that just stopped me. His 19-year-old son, Barrington, who's an excellent skateboarder, was out with a friend. And as they were walking along, they saw a steep hill they had never gone down before, and they couldn't resist it. So they threw their boards down and they dropped in. No helmets, just halfway down, though, at high speed, super high speed, they hit a damaged, crumbled section of the road that they couldn't see from the top. Barrington flew. He hit his head. He was unconscious for 12 minutes, blood coming out of his ear, brain bleeding. I think Chad received a picture of it before he even got the call. His friend had sent it. You can't imagine the terror. You just, the prayers, the waiting. By a miracle, Barrington has fully recovered. Now, when Chad finished telling me the story, I said, Chad, you need to stick a stake in that one. He said, what do you mean? I said, name it. Because when you name an experience, it becomes portable wisdom. So we started brainstorming. Somebody said helmet moment, somebody else skateboard moment. Well, we just wasn't quite right. But then someone who was listening quietly from the side said, what about know the road moment? Bam, perfect. You see, because it wasn't about skateboarding. That's important. It wasn't about committing. It wasn't about skateboarding. It was about committing before checking. So now let's imagine this asset inside the family now when it's used properly. Let's say a daughter's heading out on a date, a business opportunity that looks exciting, a group of friends pressuring a decision. All someone has to say is this a know the road moment? No lecture, no drama, just shared understanding. And that's what I call enduring wealth. It wouldn't surprise me, something like this, that we would see future generations, grandchildren saying, is this a know the road moment? And which would you rather pass down? $1 million or a phrase that helps your children make better choices and avoid catastrophic decisions? Now, for the Johnson family, for Janice and for Chad and all their children, they now have this asset called know the road moment, which has nothing to do with hills, helmets, or skateboards, and everything to do with foresight. I've asked a specific question hundreds of times where I've asked, can you think, this is to groups or to individuals, hundreds, can you think of an experience in your life, good or bad, that you cannot learn from? You think about it. I've yet to hear someone say yes. You see, our past is our greatest teacher. We're living in a perfect school, albeit with imperfect students. But lessons that aren't captured, aren't named, aren't shared, are lost. So here's my invitation for this week. Let's look back at our experiences. So you look back at your experiences. Find one that's got a little bit of emotion to it. That makes it stronger. Be good, bad, whatever it may be, but it has emotion. Then name it. And then that gives it a handle that others can pass it on. So now you're sharing it. And you see, that's how wisdom moves from story to system to legacy. and it works in families and businesses. That's my challenge to you. If you think that this message is important for somebody else, then share it. Share it. Let's get a community that's sharing their stories. Wouldn't that be cool? That we could all learn from it. See, because from now on, if you share this story, Chad's story, that's his, but you could share it within your own family. You could find a story like that. Is this a know the road moment? Have a meaningful week. I look forward to talking to you next week. Nick's Fix Mix in 26. Bye bye.